Hello and welcome to this edition of Designing Spaces, Pet Spaces, the show that's all about you and your space and your pet. Hi, I'm Debbie Marie.
And I'm David Jones. Today we're at the Fiesta Pet Deli, and that's what it is. It's a deli for your pet. They've got everything here for your pet, from food to fashion.
And that's what Pet Spaces is all about, and today is no exception. We'll talk about proper pet nutrition, health care, and the value of your pet.
We'll even take a look at how pets can add a positive factor to the senior citizen lifestyle. Plus, we'll create a safer living space for aging loved ones in your family.
And if you're thinking about bringing a new puppy into your household, well, we have some great tips and advice on the different issues associated with the newest member of your family.
That's right. Issues that come to mind when puppies are mentioned, I think of housebreaking and chewing on things.
That's what comes to your mind.
Yeah.
What about love, friendship?
Oh, yeah, that too. You know, man's best friend. And woman's best friend, too.
Oh, gosh. Well, stick around and see it all right here on Pet Spaces.
You know, the Fiesta Pet Deli is a great example of how people just want the best for their pets. And you know, health maintenance is a big part of owning a pet.
Exactly. Dogs, for example, can pick up intestinal parasites just by walking in the wrong place. But a little preventative medicine can go a long way in reducing the risk.
That's right. In fact, here's Andy Tillis and Jade with the story.
Proper health care for canines is an important topic for anyone who loves and owns dogs. While our dogs may get their shots and heartworm treatments on a regular basis, an often overlooked problem is intestinal worms. Pet owners may not be aware that their adult dog is infected and that its health may be compromised.
Joining Pet Spaces is veterinarian Dr. Donald Bramlage to educate us on the unpleasant reality of intestinal parasites. Doctor, welcome to Pet Spaces.
Oh, thank you. This is a wonderful topic to actually inform people on how to prevent intestinal parasites in their environment. So I see you brought a friend today.
Yeah, this is Jade, and I thought it was important for her to find this out also. Is it true that intestinal parasites only affect puppies?
Parasites are not that picky. There are just as many of them in adult dogs as there are puppies. Parasites have been around since dinosaurs. They're not picky who they infect, so they'll infect adult dogs as well as puppies equally. In fact, most of the time, mom is the one that gives it to the puppy while they're nursing. But the big thing to remember is any dog can get intestinal parasites.
How are intestinal worm infections transmitted?
Well, intestinal worms are transmitted in the environment. The grass that we're looking at here looks very sterile, but actually a dog may have defecated here 2 months ago. The feces is gone, but the parasite eggs are on the edge of this grass. Parasites are very tiny. You can't see them with the naked eye. So what appears to be a nice sterile environment is actually an environment dogs can pick up intestinal parasites by chewing on sticks, eating the grass, or just walking through it and then grooming their feet.
And is it true that intestinal worms are actually a public health problem?
Canine intestinal worms can be infective to humans. In fact, they can pick them up out of the environment, especially round and hookworms, just like your dog can. That's why it's so important to deworm your dog and prevent him from seeding the environment down with eggs. Round and hookworms are our two worst ones. Hookworms in the larva stage will actually burrow through the bottom of your skin and get under the skin of humans, which is called larval migrans. So they are a problem, and we do need to control them.
How can we tell if our dog has parasites?
Puppies oftentimes have more clinical signs because they're very tiny, and roundworms are very long, up to 18 inches long. Parasites also eat a lot of nutrition, so puppies cannot eat extra food. They end up losing weight. They sometimes look rough hair-coated. Hookworms will actually cause you to be anemic. Whipworms and tapeworms live in the lower part of the intestinal tract and will cause a chronic loose stool. But remember that parasites eat nutrition, and they eat the best nutrition. So your dog is left with whatever is left. So you're actually not just feeding Jaden, you're also feeding intestinal parasites. And some of these small dogs have to eat 11% more food to feed these parasites, and a small dog cannot eat that much food. So the best way to tell if they have parasites or if your intestinal parasite prevention program is working is to have your veterinarian run a fecal and be sure that we see no parasite eggs in the feces.
So is deworming the solution?
Deworming is one solution. Heartworm preventative once a month will actually prevent intestinal larvae from maturing and wipe them out before they get very old. But sometimes larvae slip through. We get a lot of intestinal larvae, or we don't get the heartworm medication in on time, and some of those parasites will slip through. So every 6-month deworming with Safeguard will actually pick those larvae up and get rid of them. So it's very important to do that before they start laying eggs. Safeguard dewormer is an ideal complement to monthly heartworm preventative. It has a broad spectrum, and it does a good job of getting all 4 types of parasites.
So, Dr. B, what do we do to our dogs to deworm them?
Well, you can deworm them with 3-day treatment of Safeguard, all in one packet, so you just put it on the food. Safeguard granules comes in a pre-measured packet for your dog's weight. It's tasteless. It's easy to put on your dog's food for 3 days in a row. We don't want to run out of dewormer before we run out of worms, so we want to go all the way through and get all the intestinal parasites. A great way to deworm your dog. But that's not the whole answer. Heartworm preventative once a month will decrease the number of larvae that your dog has to deal with. So if intestinal larvae do slip through, we don't get the heartworm medication on time, or for some reason don't get it in, every 6-month deworming with Safeguard will prevent them from becoming an issue. And then we can run a fecal once a year or twice a year to be sure that our program is functional and is doing a good job. If we do find parasite eggs, then we need to discuss with our veterinarian how we can change our program to do a better job.
Dr. B, is Safeguard safe for dogs of all ages?
The great thing about Safeguard is, as the name implies, it is safe for all ages of dog, from 6 weeks old to the pregnant female to the dog that's on medication and is a geriatric dog. So it's a very safe product to use.
And what other advice can you give to dog owners pertaining to parasites?
That's a very good question, because when we adopt a dog or when we rehome a dog, we have to remember that they usually come from humane societies where there's a high dog area. We should expect these dogs to be harboring intestinal parasites. Or if we purchase a new puppy, assume that they have parasites in them and that we need to get rid of them. We need to deworm them as soon as possible with Safeguard dewormer 3 days in a row before they have a chance to seed our home environment down with parasite eggs.
That's great, and where can we find it?
Safeguard can be found anywhere that you get your pet supplies or your dog food.
How can our viewers learn more about canine intestinal worms?
A great source of information is safeguardfordogs.com. You can not only learn about intestinal parasites, but you can also learn how to get rid of them.
Thanks for being on Pet Spaces.
Thank you for having me.
If you missed anything on today's show, or you'd like to see these tips again, log on to designingspaces.tv, click on the Pet Spaces link, where we'll provide a link to safeguardfordogs.com. For Pet Spaces, I'm Andy Tillis, and this is Jake.
Well, that pretty much covers it for today, whether you're a cat person or a dog person. We hope we brought you that little something extra to help you with your pet so they live a happy, healthy lifestyle.
And we want to thank everyone here at the Fiesta Pet Deli for letting us hang out here today. And I'm very excited because I picked up these treats I'm going to bring home to my little guy, Bailey.
Bailey would have absolutely loved it here.
I know. This place, though, is going to be my secret weapon, so when he's good, come in here for all the treats.
Thanks for joining us today on Pet Spaces. I'm David Jones.
And I'm Debbie Marie. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Put it, drop it, drop it. You can visit these websites to learn more about the participants on this edition of Designing Spaces.